I'm ready.
Here we go. Am I recording? Boy, the wheel, the thing is spinning.
Record button and have a red dot. Yes, now it is recording.
Ah, Paul. Hi. How are you? It's well, it's we just finished a little bit of a lesson, and we've been working on some new music. And Paul Draper, thank you for joining me. Thank you for chatting with me. I have to say, since we've met, you've inspired me almost on a daily basis on your business acumen, your ability to know how to market yourself, and not to mention what you do, which is this incredible. How would you describe yourself? Magician, illusionist, mentalist.
I am someone who gets to live a life where it's show and tell day every day.
I
And
love it.
so that's what I do is I juggle, I sing, I perform magic, I have classes, I teach, I put on shows, but it's basically people hire me to stand in front of their groups or be on virtual in front of their groups and play show and tell for a half hour. So
I love it. So what is show and tell for you? What was that like growing up, and what
well,
does it mean now?
Well, I mean, I grew up on a little cattle ranch, right? And so
Uh-huh.
one of my first jobs was going every morning and feeding the chickens and collecting the eggs. So here's a little chicken egg right there. Ready? Watch one little chicken egg. Now there are two chicken eggs. Two chicken eggs. Now, the fun thing about chickens is every chicken every day produces an egg. It's an endless resource. So, three eggs, three chickens, you have three eggs. Now, where do you think the fourth egg is going to appear? If I had children, I'd say point. Point to where it's going to appear. That's right. Right there. Four eggs. Four eggs. Now we have enough for breakfast. Two for you, two for me. And so, I mean, it's every day show and tell. Every day I get to say, right now I'm enthused and excited about this, and so this is what I'm going to do. Here's something new that I haven't tried before.
Uh-oh.
I have a silk handkerchief, a silk handkerchief,
Mhm.
and I'll wrap it up into a tight rope just like that, tie it into a tight knot, and now concentrate on the knot and we're going to make it vanish. Three, two, one, gone. Did it vanish? Yes?
No.
No? Oh no. Oh, but it did become loose, and now it slides right off the end, just like that. Here, let's try it again. Let's try it again. I wrap it up in a bundle. I should have rehearsed before our lesson. I should have read the instructions. I know that. Should have warmed up. Tied into a tight knot like that. Ready? Three, two, one, gone! Oh, but it did become loose. And it slides off the end just like that. And if two knots slide off the end, now I have a handkerchief with two holes in it. If you want to be happy, walk along. If you feel, well, I have to figure out how to put that back together again. Yay, ASL sign language. Yay. But I have seven tables around me right here with all sorts of toys and fun things that I just play. It's a life of play.
I love that, and even entertaining one adult like me, it's still so delightful. And you've done that one for me a couple times. I still love it, and I love the eggs. And what are some of your most like you right now? You've been working through Zoom with children's birthdays, corporate events. What do you love them all, or do you prefer one or the other? Adults, children, everybody.
I at my core am very variety driven. And so it would be very hard for me, like my friend Scott Watanabe. He played the same role in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, in Vegas, in Germany, on tour for decades, and it would be very difficult for me to do that. The exact same thing for decades. I like the variety. I like that in one day I might have the largest insurance company in Hawaii, a celebrity in Hollywood, a 7-year old's birthday party, and a homeless shelter in New York, right? That I'm performing different shows, or a retirement home in Florida, or the inventor of Siri, and then Dick Van Dyke, and doing shows for all those different groups and all those different people. And the creativity of coming up with new things and having those sort of new sparkles in my head. It's been very important to, during this time, to be creative and have outlets to try new things and play with new things so that we don't get stuck in this hypnosis of daily life.
I completely agree, and I've had my own. ups and downs with feeling, a little burnt out or feeling blocked. Do you ever, I mean, you don't strike me as someone who gets stuck. Do you ever find that you are?
If I do, I change gear completely. If I am so absolutely stuck, so
Yeah.
like there was a short time at the start of this pandemic, I was absolutely stuck.
Mhm.
So I went back and I watched all the original Robin Hood movies from England pre World War II. You know, the black and white Robin Hood films, and
Uh,
I just to say, okay, what was their message? What are they doing? They had a successful series. What is this? And so I'll engage in outside of the COVID world. I'll go to a zoo, an art gallery, a theme park, a museum, and pick, or a play or a musical, and pick up inspiration from that, and to say, what about this is connecting with people? What about it is connecting with me? During this time, it's been more watch a television show, watch a documentary, read a book. I mean, where's my stack this week? This is my stack of books this week. I've decided I want to focus on how to be funnier. So I have How to Be Funny.
huh.
Dave Barry liked that book. It has a
Great.
quote on the top. This is the writer of Yes, Prime Minister wrote Comedy Rules. Steve Martin says it's one of his favorite
All
books.
right.
This one, How to Be a Working Corporate Comedian. Now, this is really important. A bookmark costs $1.25. If you use $1 as a bookmark, you've just saved yourself a quarter, and you can use that dollar later.
That's
Uh,
brilliant.
uh, and then the Comedy Bible by Judy Carter, who used to be a magician. So I get different books, and remember too, just because you've bought a book does not mean you've also bought the time to read it. So you have to actually read it, not osmosis it. And uh, and uh, but I have tried to add in new things. So, like we said, today I was lucky enough to work with Broadway conductor, composer, and music director Micah Young.
Yes.
Yesterday, I had a lesson from Gabe Abelson, who was David Letterman's head monologue writer for 5 years, Jay Leno's head monologue writer for 3 years, and now he writes for Tom Green. Every week, and sometimes multiple days a week, I am getting lessons from different experts in their fields
Mhm.
to develop and grow and become a better, more interesting person.
I'm so inspired. I need to be taking more lessons. So how did we met? You asked me to transcribe a song. How do you think? Because you sing and you perform these events. I don't want to. I almost hate to put a label on it because it's not just you do magic. You also do mentalism, and you also do mind reading.
Right.
How does
And
it all?
so
Yeah.
I became a I when I started, I wanted to be a musical theater actor, right? But instead my degrees are in cultural anthropology and political rhetoric. And so then I moved to Vegas to teach at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, but the call of magic shows kept calling. I
Mhm.
went to audition for a few variety shows on the strip, and by the time I got there, they said, we have enough magicians. We don't need any more magicians. So I instead decided to be a mentalist, to do a mind reading show. And I was the first real full time mentalist in Las Vegas. Right now, there are 4 different mentalism shows, sit down shows in Vegas. But at the time, no one had ever heard of a mentalist. And so I used my background in anthropology, studying the culture of people, social science, my background in persuasive communication and deceptive communication from the rhetoric world, and my understanding of magic to create this mind reading show called Mysteries of the Mind that was successful in Vegas for many years. I was the house magician at the Venetian and headlined at the Orleans and other big casinos there in the big 800-seat showrooms. But then I'm too variety driven. I wanted to go tour historic theaters. So I started to tour all the historic theaters around the United States, these beautiful, right, museum palaces, movie palaces, because I wanted to see Wilcox, Arizona, and Bath, Maine, and Cortland, New York, and I wanted to see these smaller places around the country and be a part of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of a one person show
Mhm.
um, that was inspired quite heavily by Hal Holbrook's Mark Twain Tonight,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Ben Vereen's one person show. There were a couple of one-person shows that I saw like that, that I said, okay. There was a one called Shylock that I said, okay, I get this. I see what the one I saw Patrick Stewart's Christmas Carol,
Oh
and
yeah.
so I sort of built what I do off of these.
I love that. And speaking of that, I just saw. Are you familiar with that show, In and of Itself, with Derek?
Yes, with Eric Delgadio. Yep.
Okay, I just saw this, and this is a total just thought popped in my head. Have you? First of all, have you seen it? Second of all, without breaking any rules, how? I mean, it's when he gets people on stage with the letters, and the letters have been written by people like I'm speechless, and anyone watching this who has
Immersive immersive interactive theater where your audience members become stars of the show. I mean, that's what it is. It comes out of that sort of branch. He and I are about the same age. We
yeah.
came up through magic together. And he's had shows produced by Neil Patrick Harris,
Mhm.
produced by Stephen Colbert, directed by Frank Oz, and has created something lovely there. I mean, when his wife was the front desk check-in person at the Magic Castle in Hollywood
Oh my gosh.
before he showed up in LA, and they fell in love. I mean, they're a fascinating couple. He had a two-person show with another magician named Helder Gamarez, who was very, very talented before this. Then he had a run at the Geffen in Los Angeles
Oh yeah.
before creating this experience.
Yeah, I love that you know that because I just discovered that through I love Colbert's show, and he was on there. And what I was thinking about with magic and music, like we are like it's a weird or a Venn diagram of our storytelling, I guess. What do you find? Um, what do you find? Where is there crossover between what you do and what we do on stage in a musical versus on stage in a like a one man show or a variety show, let's say?
Right. The so much is the same because we look at a comedian. A comedian just has words. That's it. They just have words and they're going to engage you. They may have a couple of props, the mic stand, the stool, the bottle of water, but other than that, it's just their body and the words. In the same way that a dancer doesn't tend to have words, they just have their body and they have music, and sometimes they have a few props or a basic set. And then in theater, you have words and a set and a costume and other actors. In a musical, you have words, set, costume, other actors, props, and music and song. In magic, you have access to all of those tools plus the magic. And so now most magicians don't take advantage of all of those pieces,
Mm-hmm.
but a musical is sort of a heightened experience of the world as we want it to be, as opposed to the world as it is. You know, the world as we want it to be and as we dream it to be is that I become so emotional about something that I share it in song. You know, we don't see. If I only had a lousy little grand, I would be a millionaire. You know, we don't see a mobster on the street doing that, but there's something joyful, good old reliable, right? There's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
joyful about that. We don't actually get to peer into somebody going, "Oh Lord, you made many poor people," right? You know, Fiddler on the Roof. We
Right.
see them experience that, but we don't get to see the heightened experience. And magic in the same way is a heightened experience where there's silliness to it in order to create something joyful, delightful, fun, but still with a story and a message.
Mm.
You know, as much as I dislike, you know, the song from Carousel, "We'll have a real nice clam bake," right? What is, you know, but the whole point of that is community, togetherness, tradition, all of these things matter. And magic can have that as well, while it opens our eyes to something visually brilliant, like a dance number in a musical, can open up our hearts and our minds to sounds we haven't heard, sights we haven't seen, and to fall into a world that doesn't exist, but that we wish it did.
I love that, and I think with art, it's the world we wish it. Uh, art is as to create a world we wish it was, as opposed to the way it is. You said it, you said it so much more eloquently than I did.
Well, I mean, like here's another one you've
Yeah,
seen before. I move my messy table with all the
yeah,
toys
yeah,
on.
yeah.
In the show, I'll sometimes say, I don't know about you, but I'm only going to the grocery store once every 2 weeks to keep my family safe. So if I buy the wrong thing, I'm stuck with it. I don't know about you, but I like the double stuff cookies more than the single stuff. But I bought the double stuff, the single stuff. Oh no, I got the wrong cookie. I have the single stuff. I want the double stuff. We're going to make one of them double stuff. Which one? The one up high or the one down low?
A pie.
Up high. So we take the stuffing out of there, we put it into there. We take the stuffing out of there, we put it into there. We take the stuffing out of here and we put it up into Micah, that's a triple stuff Oreo, right? And so suddenly we have what we want the world to be
Right.
as opposed to what it is. That we can have, oh, the kid, the fat kid here wants a double stuff Oreo. And he got it, So
Well, and one thing I love about you too is like you have such a wonderful humanity about civil rights and about justice and equality, and you've managed to kind of weave that into your presentation, your message, and I think it's when your art becomes more than just. I mean, entertainment is obviously valuable. We all need right now entertainment to laugh and to feel something and to get
right.
out of our own heads, but it's also a sense of a bigger message involved, and I think that's when art really lands.
We have to be carefully taught to hate all of the
Right.
people our parents hate. We have to be carefully taught, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it's exactly that. If I add a little song and a little dance and a little juggling, the audience is more likely to listen to my message
Yeah.
of don't be racist, don't be prejudiced. And within the shows, in the same way, I tell my stage manager, my producer on the shows, who chooses which audience members are going to help me. I've told him, choose the names you can't pronounce. Choose the people that are underprivileged. Choose
Mm,
the people that don't get chosen. I don't want the beautiful little blonde haired girl every single trick to help me out like other magicians do. I want within the messages to talk about the. I sit on the board of multiple diversity charities, inclusive charities like the Inclusion Center, which is was a national rights, human rights organization that started in 1927, and so I try to incorporate those messages and give away shows for free to homeless shelters, to women's shelters, to children in hospitals, to Title I schools where kids are below the poverty line. I've been working with Broadway singers, Broadway actresses
mm,
from Harry Potter and Phantom and Hamilton and Legally Blonde with Broadway Hearts to give away these shows as well, because we people need magic and they need music and they need escapism and they need joy and fun. And then when I perform for the well-to-do, the wealthy, the successful, the
right.
CEO of Burger King, which I did a show for, I then incorporate the messages about taking care of others and including them into our circles.
I love that. And, you turned me on to Broadway Hearts. In fact, I spoke with them yesterday, and I'm going to be doing work with them soon. So your message is you have a ripple effect, my friend.
Yes.
That you actually lead me into my next question. Something I'm very passionate about, and you've given me thought something about is how do you value yourself? And in my work, I find that I set a price range for a voice lesson, a coaching, a recording, and it's hard to negotiate that down because there's always going to be someone in unfortunately in music and in musical theater, there's always someone doing it for less. But then you get what you pay for. But then if you've got 12 Broadway shows and 15 years of experience and national tours and all the things that I've done, then your credits are beyond almost too much to mention. Where do you say, well, I'm this much an hour? Uh, Go ahead. I mean, you have so many thoughts about this.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to you in a different way than I've given it to you in the past,
Great.
because the key to this is our value is what someone is willing to pay for us, and that's really hard to understand. But I want to take it back even further.
Hmm.
I have an apple tree in my yard.
Okay.
And if I plant an apple tree, it takes at least 7 years before it starts producing good apples that I want to eat. So what's it worth to me to plant my own apple tree? If I want an apple right now, I'd rather go and buy it. If I'm willing to wait 7 years, I mean, if you want to plant an olive tree in Greece, you may plant an orchard of olive trees and never get a good crop of olives in your lifetime. It may be your children or your grandchildren that get the benefit of those olive trees. And so what is that apple worth? Well, if I go up to the 7-Eleven that just has a few apples and I want to buy an apple, I'm going to pay more for it than if I go to the grocery store that has lots of apples, where I'm going to pay more for it than if I go to Costco to buy that apple. It's the same apple, which I'm going to pay less at Costco than if I go to an actual farm. If I go to a farmer's orchard and he doesn't have to pay someone to pick it, he doesn't have to pay someone to clean it, he doesn't have to pay someone to ship it, he doesn't have to have spoilage, he doesn't have to worry about a freezer truck. I just take it from the farm. I'm going to pay a lot less for that exact same apple than if it went on that journey all the way through to the 7-Eleven. I'm going to pay more for that apple if I buy that apple at Disneyland, even more for it if it's been turned into a pie, even more for that if it's been turned into a high-end delicacy pie with some weird ingredients, right? It's a truffle apple pie, what? Right? But if there's something that's had some artistry put into it, but it's the same apple. So this idea of what is the value of an apple is not the right way to look at it.
Mm.
The value of that apple is about where you have that apple. An
Mm.
apple at Disneyland costs more than an apple at Costco because you'd have to leave Disneyland to go get another one. And I've performed at Disneyland, and so there's a different pay scale of what that is. And so if you have me in Club 33 at Disneyland, which is a membership only club where you have to pay $10,000 a year to be a member, I'm worth more there than if I stand on the street outside of Disneyland and do a show for people. So there is a value to where you're performing, to what you're performing. There's a different value if someone wants me to perform in my hometown versus if they want me to perform in Montreal, Canada.
Right.
Right now, if someone wants me to perform on Zoom, it's a tenth of what it is if they want me to come live normally, let alone I had someone today ask if I would do a live and in-person show. And I said, yes, there is a price for that, but I need to quarantine for 2 weeks before and quarantine for 2 weeks after, and you have to pay for the hotel and the food and everything to make that possible. And if they're willing to come up with that money, I will do it. So it's about what is it worth to that client? What's the supply and demand? What is the experience? Secondary thing to put it into greater, easier perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If I am performing for a 2 year old, 1 2 year old, and the parent makes $15 an hour, may we please get a $15 an hour minimum wage everywhere? Because
Please.
some places you have a parent with a child making, 7.25 an hour.
Mm-mm.
So let's say the parent makes $15 an hour, and I'm going to perform for their child. Well, that parent can't afford $15 for me to perform.
Right.
$30 for me to perform would be a once a year expense beyond what they could normally do. And so if I say to that parent, well, I'm worth $10,000 an hour,
Yeah.
that parent has to say, well, not to me, you ain't, right? They can't do it. However, if I perform for 500 children in a school and
Mm-hmm.
I say to that school, I'm $1 per child, they value those children at $1 per child. However, if I go and perform for a group of construction workers and I say I'm $15 per construction worker, they value the construction workers at $15 each for a show. If I go and perform for Jeff Bezos and his friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to do an hour long show for Jeff Bezos and 10 of his friends, they may be willing to pay $30,000 for that 1 hour show if the show is of a quality that it's worth their time to watch it. So I may do the exact same show for each of those groups. In philosophy, this is called marginal utility, that you charge people based upon what it's worth to them. And this goes against the engineer's mind or the mathematician's mind who says a thing has a price.
Right.
But to that engineer or that mathematician, my answer is go back to the Apple example I just gave.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a sugar cane on the Caribbean islands versus you have a sugar cane shipped to your home off season, the price is very different, and that's because an object does not have a single price. And so
Wow.
that's how I cope with it. So a lot of the time, when I'm hired for somebody, it's about what I'm doing, what value am I providing to them. If the value I'm providing is entertainment, it's different than if the value I'm providing is getting new clients. Disneyland, for example, paid me more when I was able to get hundreds of people to sign up for Disney Plus while watching my show. I just inserted a little piece in the middle of my show where I pitched Disney Plus and had them scan a QR code. They
Right.
were willing to pay me much more
Yeah.
if in the middle of my show I got everybody to sign up for Disney Plus than if I was just entertainment.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm thinking like when you get approached, like I get approached, like how much do you charge for a show? How much do you charge for an hour lesson? Um, do you ask what I mean? I sometimes I would say, well, what's your budget? Or frankly, like what are you willing to pay?
Right.
Because again, it's like the more you know about the client, the more you understand. Well, the mother with $15 an hour versus Jeff Bezos. Like, so
You don't want to quote first unless you are commoditized, unless you are a standard value, a standard price. So for example, in Las Vegas right now, if you want a strolling magician, that's a magician that wanders from table to table at your company party. You can get 100 magicians for $250 an hour.
Mhm.
They'll all work for $250 an hour. But if you want David Copperfield, he's going to be $100,000. You have a choice. You can have him do his stage show for you, or strolling, or sign autographs. But that's what his price is. But and that's negotiable.
Right.
But I charge for strolling 3 to 4 times an hour what most people charge, because I'm able to say you're not just hiring the commodity of a magic show, you are hiring Paul Draper, who has appeared in all these places, and you get social benefit from everybody saying, whoa, the magician we had at our party, I've seen him on TV, right? And there's a difference there. So if every voice teacher in America is charging $50 an hour, there's a big difference between the voice teacher who's worked on Tony Award winning musicals and the voice teacher who went to high school, a liberal arts college, another liberal arts college, and then teaches at the community college. And don't get me wrong, I agree that probably the finest actor in America is working in a community theater right now in Des Moines. But it's probably that actor is amazing, but doesn't know how to work in the business. But our price is based on what needs we're fulfilling and who we're fulfilling them for.
Yes. You've reminded me of that. In fact, the classes we've done together for your community of magicians, you've reminded me that it's the experience. That if it's someone like me who, you've introduced me that I've worked with Jonathan Groff, who was in Hamilton, or Spring Awakening, or these Broadway musicals, or Tony winning musicals, then it is that experience I bring to the table that someone can say, I was like that song, I was in the room where it happened, I was there. And that is something I think a lot of people in my path in life woefully forget that. And part of that is because I'm surrounded by such extraordinary people all the time in New York, like you are in your circles of people. Everyone's amazing, and we almost forget to flaunt that with not flaunt it, but with some justified humility, or not humility, but the ability to say, yeah, I've I've conducted Broadway shows, and I know that walk. I've walked the walk. Absolutely.
I've been to events with insurance salesmen and real estate agents in places like Butte, Montana, or Fargo, Dakotas, right in the
Yeah,
Dakotas.
Fargo's great.
And at their banquet,
Yeah.
they give a plaque. Here's an award for your 25 years of service with our insurance company. And for that, that person weeps. They get up on stage and they weep and say, "Oh, thank you. It's meant so much to me. It's the world to me." And they have this plaque. And that plaque outside that company, outside that state, it doesn't mean anything, but it means a lot to them as an individual. And it would mean a lot to others within that same company.
Mhm.
So it's about what it is we've done that means something to people inside and outside our own community. So, for example, if you said to the average magician, uh, I want you to hire me to help put together the music for your show, uh, they wouldn't want to pay very much for that. But if you say, and I have been a guest instructor at the McBride Magic and Mystery School, the number one magic school in the history of the world, and I've created original music with Paul Draper, then that value goes up because you are a known quantity. There isn't a PhD in magician. There isn't a PhD necessarily in there certainly is a PhD in conducting, but there's not a
Right.
PhD in Broadway conducting.
Right.
Just because you have a PhD in existential philosophy doesn't mean that you are an existential philosopher who can philosophize. It merely means that you can discuss other people who have done that. And so there's a difference between having the skill set to know something and having the skill set that you have done something. And you are a doer, and you're selling the fact that you are a person who has done wonderful, amazing things, and that you're bringing some of that magic of having done, that kinesthetic magic, that what is it, sympathetic magic, contagious magic, that you got a little on you by
Right.
being
Very
in the
does.
place.
Right. Well, maybe I buried the lead, but you're very good at. I take a lesson from you about not being afraid to say who I've played for, who I've worked with, people I know. You're very apt at you know with all good justification saying, look, I just did a show for Chevy Chase
Right.
or the guy who invented Siri. I mean, just for those who are this far into us and with us still, who are some of the people that you've had a chance to rub shoulders with, get to know, play for?
And see, and that changes based upon who I'm performing for.
Right,
So, for example, in New York City, if I was with a group of actors in New York City and I said Feinstein's 54 Below hired me to represent them on cruise ships in New Zealand and Cuba and all over the world,
right,
that have some cachet.
yeah,
Okay. However, saying I performed representing Feinstein's 54 Below in most of the country, they've never heard of it, and it means absolutely nothing.
right.
But if I say I represented the guy that took over Studio 54,
Oh,
oh, well, that has some say in Las Vegas. That has some say in other areas. But a lot of places, if I say I worked on the cruise ships that I've worked on are Azamara, Seabourn, and Crystal, that doesn't mean anything to people because they don't understand that there is a Carnival, Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, oh, and the one no one can afford, Azamara, Seabourn, and Crystal, right? That you have to, if you have the worst room on the ship, it's $10,000 a
yeah,
weekend, right?
yeah.
And so um, people don't so you have to scale these things up and down.
Mhm.
It used to be important to say Steven Spielberg had me present the special features on the 25th anniversary of Poltergeist,
Right.
and on the Poltergeist DVD I host the special features on that, and it also played in movie theaters all over the country for the 25th anniversary. But if I perform at a college today, they've never heard of Poltergeist. They've never heard of Steven Spielberg. They've never had a DVD with special features on
Right.
it.
Of course
So,
not.
what does that even mean? For a short time, the fact that the star of Aqua Teen Hunger Force loved my show. For a certain age group, that meant a lot. And it was on my poster. But now, what's that? So it's always, I guess the latest person that people like is that I've done shows with Millie Bobby Brown. But we've been on stage together in front of 5,000 people. But what will that mean next week? I've been on, I was on HBO Comedy Fest, but that hasn't been on in decades. I mean, it's though saying that I've done what is it, Gordon Ramsay's show or Chris Angel's Mind Freak or Ghost Adventures. Some of those still have a little zing. So it's about tuning it to who this audience is going to be excited about hearing that you've performed for.
Yeah, and I keep going back to that Sondheim lyric in I'm Still Here. Monday you're headlining, Tuesday you're touring in stock. Like, you could, and I think that is so apt to, like, I felt that where, like, I'm in the hottest Broadway show and everyone knows the show, and it's all that. And then it's 10, 12 years later, and you've heard of the show, but it's been a minute. And so I
My,
think you're,
my friend Bob Fitch, my friend Robert Fitch, he originated the role of Rooster, the bad guy in Annie on Broadway.
yeah, yeah,
Now he was in 27 Broadway shows, 27 different Broadway shows, including the last Broadway show he was in was with Whoopi Goldberg in Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
sure, yeah.
But even though he was in 27 shows, the show that he talks about is Rooster and Annie. And I don't think if it, outside of the world that he would have necessarily thought that was the one. In the same way that Alec Guinness was a very famous actor, and yet all he's remembered for is that silly sci-fi movie Star Wars. And he hated that. He hated that after his illustrious career, what he would be remembered for was Star Wars or the professor on Gilligan's Island. He was a famous leading man, a cowboy hero in lots of movies, but
Wow.
all he's known for is the professor on Gilligan's Island. And so we have to be aware as these things move and shift and what it is that we're presenting in that way.
I love that, and you're right. Like, it's the one thing you get known for versus the work you actually aspire to do. And I feel like there's career work, there's the passion work, and there's the money work. There's work that's going to help your career, but it may not serve your passion. There's passion work that may not fill your pocketbook, and then there's money jobs that may be completely just stuff there's stuff I never want to put on my resume that paid a lot of money.
Right.
And we talked about TV film versus theater, and like for theater actors and theater performers like me, like we can be treading water for years and years and years, even on Broadway shows. Well, we should compare and despair, but comparing to a TV or film job that not only pays exponentially more but is more visible. The other day you were telling me, think of a theater of 1,500 people a night versus a TV show that hits millions and millions of people, and
Right.
yet it's I'm thinking about Alec Guinness, and I'm thinking of Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen despaired over the fact that you don't have the kind of theater he grew up with, that you cut your teeth on night after night after night, so that when you're doing that film scene or doing that one shot, that you've got your skills. So I'm sure
Something to draw upon. A dear friend of mine who plays Carlotta in Phantom of the
right.
Opera, Satomi Hoffman. She had one scene in Gotham, the TV show.
Oh yeah,
She
yeah.
was a nurse, and as a nurse, Poison Ivy sends some chemicals at her and hypnotizes her. And so all she does is she comes in as the nurse, gets hypnotized, and then says the hypnotized line while in love. And that those few seconds on that show paid more than I think a year in Phantom.
Yep.
And so it's about that who are we reaching in a Broadway show. You can have 750 to 1,500 people there, but one airing of a TV show is seen by millions, and
Mhm.
it can re-air 6 months from now and 6 months from then and 10 years from now and 50 years after you're dead, and people can still be making money off of that one performance. So it's about who are we engaging and interacting with. And so 1,000 grade school students, I'll make less money performing for them than performing for one child who is the son of a Saudi royal, or the son of one of the communist leaders of China, or the son of one of the seven families in Dubai. And so that's where it is.
I love Paul. I can listen to your stories all night. What is some of you, what are you like? Okay, what's a dream of yours? What's a goal to be had?
I want to do a show on Broadway. I want to do what you've done.
Yeah,
I would love if I could have even a one-line character. If I could be Mr. Feeney in Funny Girl, the revamp,
yeah, yeah.
on Broadway, even for a couple of nights, just to say it, because I've done shows off Broadway, but I've never had a Broadway credit. I would like to same way right now. I would like to have a bit character role in a major feature length film. I've done lots of TV shows, but I've never had a major feature length film. I would like to host an entire season of a TV show.
Mhm.
So I hosted 3 episodes of House Hunters on
Uh,
Home and Garden HGTV. I've hosted specials on the History Channel. So I've hosted specials, but I've never hosted a full um, season of a show. I've guest hosted shows, I've guest hosted stuff, but I've never hosted a whole season. So these are dreams of mine, and I just want to live a life of continuous improvement,
mhm.
where every year I'm doing a little bit better and a little bit more than last year.
I love that. Do you have any magic or any last minute thoughts to end our little episode here?
So I do. Let me figure out something. Okay.
I put you on
Uh,
the spot here.
No, 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 no. We're going to do this.
All right.
But for this, they have to trust that you and I didn't set anything up ahead of time.
This is completely impromptu. Nothing about this was planned.
So I
Yep.
have, they have to trust you, and I don't know how much your fans trust you. So I have a blue box of cards right here. I have a
Great.
blue box of cards, and inside of that box, I have a deck of playing cards, and they're all in what's called new deck order. So it goes down on the hearts, down on the clubs, and then up on the right on the diamonds, and they go there on the diamonds and the
Okay.
spades.
All right.
All there all the way through.
All right.
So I want you to name. I'm going to try and think of one card. I preset this
Okay.
one card. I did it off screen while you were promising nothing was set up.
Okay.
That you think I'm trying to send to you. Which one?
Got it. Okay. Do I tell you?
Yeah.
Six of diamonds.
Okay. I'm going to give you a chance to change.
Was that not a good
No,
choice?
no, no. I just want you to be sure of all the cards in here. The
Right.
one you want is the 6 of diamonds.
Now, if I can I switch my choice?
Oh, sure.
Should I give it a okay? All right. I made a switch. I made a switch.
What one?
Should I tell you?
Yeah.
The Queen of Clubs.
Okay. So one thing you may not know, I don't know if we've discussed this, but my favorite card in a deck of cards is the Queen of Clubs,
Is
because
it
it's one
really?
of the rarest chosen. And my sweetheart said when I die, she's going to write a book called The Queen of Clubs. So do you want to stay with the Queen of Clubs, stay with the 6 of diamonds, or do something different?
Well, now, so the Queen of Clubs is that has some import for you.
It
Yeah.
does, but whatever one you want is the one we're going to use.
Let's go Queen of Clubs. Let's see where this. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's see where
Okay.
she takes us.
This is unbelievable. I like that you say down the rabbit hole, seeing how I have a Mad Hatter's hat, a rose bush with
Ah,
one red rose, the bunny with the
Bunny and the
clock,
clock.
the wreath with one. Over here's a tea set. And
And
oddly enough, after seeing all of that, you want to go with a queen. That's
well,
fascinating.
should we wait? Should we switch to Queen of Hearts then?
No, no, it's
No,
fine.
no.
You've
I like the Queen.
decided. It's right there.
There,
Now
we're good.
look, it came out of a blue box.
All right, Queen of.
But every card in this deck is a red card. They're all red cards. Every single card is a red card.
Okay.
Every card except for one.
Yes.
The one and only card that matches the blue deck is your card, the Queen of Clubs.
Wow.
What? I'm so glad you changed, or that wouldn't have worked. So, so
I love that, Paul. Oh, it's
it's
great.
but it's about engagement and it's about interaction. It's about having fun and you know you can set a price, and the best way to figure out if your price is right or wrong or something else,
Hmm.
the absolute best way to find that out is by quoting the price to people. And if they say, oh yeah, absolutely, then you're probably too low.
Right.
If they say oh, uh I'm not sure we can do that.
Right.
Let me contact the sales manager.
Right.
Then you're probably in a closer to right range. If you're getting a lot of no's, then you're asking too much, or you are asking the wrong clientele, because
Right.
you're too much for them. And so that's that. But if you're not getting a no, if you're never getting no's, everybody's just saying yes, then you're not asking enough.
Mm, that's really good advice. That's great. Paul, thank you so much. Thank you for every. Wait, do you want to
Thank you.
real quick? Do you want to show your new? Can you
My
show your?
new toy?
You want to
Okay.
hold
I,
off?
I am excited. I will
Okay,
share. Okay.
show
This
us.
is
Show
this
us
is
the new.
just on your Patreon page, right?
Absolutely, yes, please.
Okay. So when I was little, I'm gonna turn off some lights. When I was little, I dreamed that maybe one day I could have juggling balls that changed color.
I love
And
it.
I dreamed that it would be like the Wizard of Oz with a horse of a different color, that it would constantly change, or like Cinderella's dress that changes pink to blue. But the LED technology didn't exist at that time, and the RFID chip technology didn't exist at that time, and the lithium ion battery technology didn't exist at that
Right.
time. So none of this existed. But now you can get these balls
Hmm.
that that have a very long charge, and these look even better in person. There's yellow, blue, and green.
I love it.
And I hold on, and it has a USB charger. And if I'm really gonna do this,
I
you
love it.
gotta,
Yeah, you
you
got to
gotta,
get a
you
dim
gotta
the light.
pattern for just a moment. Well, you gotta fill for me. Okay, so this is it's my favorite new toy.
I
When
love
I
it.
got this, I cried. There are very few times in my life
Yeah.
that I've done a new piece of magic that made me so happy that I cried when I received it. But right here we can say, look, it's Peter Pan and Wendy Girl and Tinkerbell's magic dust right there. Watch them fly. Okay, Tinkerbell, throw magic dust over the others. There she goes. Just I mean that we could go now. Tinkerbell, don't be mad at Wendy. Remember when he stood in between them?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
not only that, but we can do this beautiful thing. Hold on, where they can be green, blue, red, blue,
Oh,
yellow, cyan, magenta,
I love
white, or a wide variety of this one. It's hard to see on film, but in person that
it.
looks like rainbow cut, like unicorn
Yeah,
colors.
and it's sort of creating
Or
like a delayed color effect, which is kind of
or
cool.
you have you can have a yellow one. Let me see. There's a red, white, and blue one there.
Oh,
That's
very
bum
patriotic.
bum ba-dum, bum 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 bum, right?
Yep.
And so this is a technology that when I was a little boy, all these movies made me dream of being able to create something
I
like
love it.
this, and it just didn't exist. And the only company in the world that makes this is in Argentina, right, in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
And connecting to Evita right there. And so that is my
Oh,
latest love language is having these beautiful juggling balls right there.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it, Paul. Paul Draper.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, don't go anywhere. I'm just going to stop our recording. I see ya.